The Chicago Bears have a major problem on their hands that must be fixed, and really it needs to be fixed quickly if they're going to make a run this year. We'll tell you what it is and how maybe they can find some solutions coming up next. I'm Harrison Graham, and this Bears defensive line sucks. Let's talk about it here on Chicago Bears Now. Only 4 games in. It's not like it's a huge sample size, but let's face it, this defensive line is struggling in a major, major way. Shout out to Bears blog boy on social media. I see him on my feed sometimes. He put some good stuff out there. He said through 4 games, the Bears are dead last in QB pressure percentage. They are second to last in average time to pressure. That means quarterbacks almost have 3 seconds on average to throw. They are second to last in rushing yards before contact per attempt allowed, so which checks out. This team can't stop the run. They are 29th in PFF's grading system in defending the run. Somehow 22nd in their pass rush grade, which that feels generous, especially when you look at this other data. 5 sacks in 4 games, regardless how you get there, not very good. It goes further if you just want to take raw numbers. They have 5 sacks in 4 games. That's 1.3 sacks per game. That's 29th. And then they allow 6.2 yards per carry on the ground. Dead last at 30 seconds. 6.2 yards per carry. That's like a college stat. You don't see that in the NFL. That's really, really bad. And listen, stats get inflated early in the year. One really bad game, one really good game can inflate or deflate a stat. You give up 240 on the ground to the Raiders, that's going to hurt things. But let's be honest, you weren't defending the run well before that game either. You're not getting after the passer either. Montez Sweat's making $25 million per year. He's got 1 sack. Gervon Dexter, year 3 as a second-round pick. He's got 1 sack. Dayo Odeyingbo, your big free agent signing, 1 sack. Dominique Robinson and Montez Sweat should not have the same amount of sacks. Tano Passanio, who when he did get his sack was a practice squad elevation, he should not be having the same amount of sacks as Gervon Dexter, Dayo Odeyingbo, and Montez Sweat. That is just not going to cut it, and it's a bad combination. Look, it's hard to have a defensive front that's elite at stopping the run and at getting after the passer. It's hard. Like, there's only a few teams that do it. It's a combination of coaching, the proper resources being deployed. You're probably weak elsewhere. Okay, the Bears have invested, and they can't rush the quarterback, and they can't stop the run. Maybe it changes 4 games in, but that's a bad combination. The fact that the secondary, especially the last 2 weeks, without Jalen Johnson, without Kyler Gordon, has played as well as it has, considering the front 4 stinks, is pretty impressive. It's a testament to those guys and Dennis Allen finding something that is working on the back end. But if the front doesn't play better, it's going to be tough to have a solid defense throughout the course of 2025. I just want to ask straight up, can this group improve? Can the defensive line get better this year? Not long term, this year. Type Y for yes, type in for no. I want to say yes, and I do think yes. Major improvements, though, like is Montez Sweat going to flip a switch and be the player we saw after the trade a couple years ago? It just kind of seems unlikely at this point. You're just hoping for some moderate improvements from him and some other guys. Let's talk about him. The decline's been frustrating. It's been staggering. It's been is unacceptable fair? You know, we kind of gave him not a full pass, but a slight pass last year because it was reported that he was playing with a foot injury a lot of the year. Like, okay, let's see how he comes out this year. Not much better, right? I mean, you look at his time in Chicago after the trade in 9 games. I thought he had the best year of his career when you combine his time in Washington and Chicago in 2023, and that included the part here. It's not like he was awesome in Washington and had average numbers here. He transformed that defense. That by the end of that year, and that's when Flus had his defense cooking the most. It was a really, really good unit, and Montez Sweat was a big reason why. He had never rushed the passer better. He was still defending the run well. And since then, you know, we can blame the foot issue last year, whatever the case may be, but not only is he not an impactful pass rusher, only a half more sack and more than double the games since 2023, but what he was always elite at in Washington was setting that edge as a run defender. He hasn't even done that at a elite level since then. He's okay at it, but you're not paying him to be an average player or even a good player. You're paying him to be very, very, very good and at times great. Do I expect him to be TJ Watt? Of course not. But I don't know. Is he the 40th best pass rusher in the league and you're paying him $25 million? It's not even close to good enough. It's been a killer. When a guy making this much money is average from a production and just a play standpoint, it hurts. It really hurts. Your high-paid players need to produce, and he's just not. And it'd be one thing if like a draft pick was producing or like he was garnering so much attention and other guys were taking advantage of one-on-ones. That's not the case. It is just not the case. And listen, we can blame Ryan Poles some, and I think we should, and we will here, but like it's not like they aren't trying at all. Like they've made investments, and probably some of the wrong ones. But, like, when they traded for Sweat and he was playing like he was and they made that extension, did any of us feel like that was a bad contract? We'll come back to that, but, like, it's hard to, like, just hammer Poles for that one. Like, the player does have to play well. Dayo Odeyingbo, that's a different story. Like, that felt like a reach at the time, and so far I would say it feels like a reach at $16 million per year. Grady Jarrett, certainly an overpay, older player. He is dealing with the knee issue. Part of that was bringing in a seasoned vet for leadership purposes, so that's not a contract that kills you, but it hurts when the two guys above him aren't producing. Like, if those guys were producing and Jarrett wasn't and he's overpaid, it's like, okay, you can live with that. Gervon Dexter is a second-round pick. That's a real investment. Fine player, not a great player. Shemar Turner, jury's still out, obviously. Missed most of training camp. It's early, but that's a notable investment, a second-round pick. So the question is, like, who do you blame? Is it on Ryan Poles? Guys have to play better. Like, Montez Sweat, like, I have a hard time blaming Poles for that one. Listen, you always get judged for every move you make if it works and if it doesn't, but, like, the way Sweat was playing after they trade for him is worth the contract he has right now. But he's played nowhere near that since. Like, am I supposed to blame the GM for that? Now, Dayo Odeyingbo, for what we've seen so far, fair criticism. Grady Jarrett, if we think that's an overpay, fair criticism. But I think it's a combination, and certainly he has to wear some of this. And if you get beyond the defensive line, Poles has made several errors, and they've made investments, though, and maybe a lot of them are the wrong ones. Maybe Shemar Turner's a bad player. Maybe Gervon Dexter's never going to get there. If we want to blame him for Sweat, I guess we can do that, but no one was saying that at the time when he was playing like a fringe all-pro. We just haven't seen that player since then. So coming up next, we're focused on this year. We're focused on right now. We're not focused on the big picture roster, orchestration. Can Dennis Allen jumpstart this group? Can he find some solutions to get more out of his defensive line? We will talk about that. I have a few ideas that I would explore if I was the Chicago Bears. But first, want to tell you guys about our awesome sponsor, Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. I had a nice 3-player lineup last week and actually hit a couple of them, and I'm back for more this week. I'm glad to get some Bears players back in my lineup coming off the bye week. And a cool feature on Prize Picks is it's the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in one lineup. Want to pick more on Caleb Williams' pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns? Now you can. You can pick all of those in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. The way Prize Picks works is simple. You pick 2 to 6 player lineups, choose more or less on their stat projections, and if you hit, you win money. And I got a pretty sweet lineup I'm feeling good about for this upcoming Monday. Caleb Williams, more than 21.5 rushing yards. That number keeps decreasing, just saying. I like the value there. Jaden Daniels, more. I think he'll throw for at least 1 touchdown, as much as it sucks to say. And then Rome Badunze against the bad secondary, more than 64.5 receiving yards. I think so. Give me the more on that. $20 entry to win $85. Download the PrizePicks app right now. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right. So can this defensive line improve? That's the big question. And look, let's be real. Unless some major trade or something happens unforeseen, you're kind of just hoping this group can be average at this point this year. And listen, if they're average, hell, top 20, top 22, because right now this is a bottom 5 unit, with the way the secondary is playing, I think Tremaine's playing better this year. TJ's back. That maybe you're a top half of the defense, top 12 if that happens, because I think the back end's playing really well right now. I think one thing I would try with Austin Booker back and healthy, and depending on when you're watching this, maybe he's been activated off IR, maybe he hasn't, but he's going to be back soon, whether it's this week or in a week or two. I think immediately you give him snaps at edge. It's right away. You throw him in there. He popped in the preseason, and I know he did a little bit last year as well, and he didn't do a ton as a rookie, but I thought he added more to his arsenal Like, last year he was kind of just an effort guy, which you appreciate, right? Like, you want guys with a relentless motor, but, he had a little spin move he was going to in the preseason. I think he's gotten stronger with his bull rush. I saw a guy who was starting to develop, and it looked pretty good in the preseason. Just results aside, I thought a guy who knew what he wanted to do before a lot of the snaps. And, like, that's the key to being an elite edge rusher. Like, you have to have a plan. Like, hey, on this play, I'm attacking this tackle this way. And I thought Booker was doing that a lot in the preseason. Something he also brings that, these pass rushers, especially off the edge, don't really offer is speed. Now, Dennis Allen likes those bigger, bulkier, stronger edge rushers, and that's great. And I'm not saying those guys can't have a role. They can dent the pocket. They can set the edge in the run game, although you're not getting that consistently. Maybe a different look would help. Like, Odeyingbo doesn't have much speed. Sweat isn't really a speed guy. Booker is. He has good speed, and he's gotten stronger. So that is one thing I would do immediately and just see what the results are, is give him more or give him a real snap package right away. If you're excited to see Austin Booker play, type me. I'm excited to see anybody try to rush the passer that hasn't this year, because you're not getting much, but specifically Book. I'm excited to see what he can do under Dennis Allen. Okay, number 2, and this is kind of as a result of the Austin Booker idea, giving him snaps, especially when Booker's in the game. Try Dayo Odeyingbo inside some. This was something they raved about when they signed him. Both Poles and Dennis Allen even mentioned it. Like, hey, like, this is a guy that can kick inside. He did it some in Indy. He's 6'6", 285. He can play some 3-tech. I would line him up on the interior, and especially in those NASCAR packages where you try to get your best pass rushers on the field, see if he can find some mismatches against some guards and some centers. Now, ignore the left side of this graphic, although that could be a conversation for a different day for the rushing offense for this team. Other than running behind Darnell Wright, you're having issues. But the run defense, you're just not productive there. And honestly, surprisingly, in the interior, like, Andrew Billings not helping that much. That was a little better against the Raiders, not that much help there. Gervon Dexter has always been a better pass rusher than run defender. Grady, Jarrett, he's been fighting through some stuff. But you've not been good at defending the run in the interior. So, like, if you're not stopping the run well already, why not put Odeyingbo inside? A, maybe he'll stop the run better, but B, maybe he can get a little interior pass rush going with him next to Gervon Dexter. That is something I would try. And then lastly, we were saying it for a few weeks there, but I'll give Dennis credit. He found solutions the last 2 games. But now that you're getting some key guys back, I think you may just – the answer might not be it's just not going to come from the front 4. So what does that mean? You have to bring pressure. You have to blitz more. The Bears, while the blitz rate has been going up, they're still just 28th in the NFL at just over 17%. I might increase that to about 25. Like, top 10, top 12 in the NFL. You're not going to go crazy and go 35%. This isn't, the principles of this defense isn't, full Brian Flores, but, like, I would dial it up a notch. I would continue to increase that. And now with Kyler Gordon, TJ Edwards back, you can trust that back 7, especially with how Tyreek's been playing recently. I think part of the fear from Dennis was, oh God, we have Nashawn Wright, Tyreek, who wasn't playing well the first couple of games. If I blitz and get burned, guys are just going to be running free. Well, now you're healthier on the back end. I think you can take more chances. And with these 2 guys specifically, these are 2 guys that you can blitz. Right? TJ Edwards, good blitzing linebacker. Kyler Gordon, you can blitz him off the nickel spot. So if I'm Dennis Allen, I'm more willing to take those opportunities and those chances and just dial it up, because this front 4 is just not winning consistently. It's as simple as that. There's even data out there that even in one-on-one opportunities, Odeyingbo and Sweat, they're kind of middle of the pack so far, and that is they are not living up to their contracts. And listen, we can have big picture discussions about the roster construction, but in reality right now, you got what you got. Maybe you make a trade or something, but today, I think these are things I would try if I was Dennis Allen. All right, there you have it. The Bears' defensive line, a major problem, and it's something that needs to be fixed or at least improved as quickly as possible. If they can find some solutions, then okay, maybe you got something here defensively. If not, you're banking a lot on your play caller and on the back 7.